What if your silence doesn't just create distance, but ignites an obsession she can't explain? What if pulling back isn't weakness, but the ultimate proof of your inner strength? And what if the less you give, the more you become the gravity she can't resist? Let's dive deep into the psychology behind why your absence becomes more powerful than any presence, and how mastering this truth transforms the entire dynamic between you and her. Ever wonder why she suddenly hits you up the moment you stop caring, why she starts missing you? The second you pull away, it's not coincidence, it's a pattern. When you pull back your attention, you create a void, and nature hates a vacuum. See, she grew comfortable with your constant availability, but the moment you embrace silence, everything shifted now. She's left wondering why you're no longer chasing her, why you've become the mystery she can't solve. When you control your own desires, you control the narrative, and that's why your absence speaks louder than any words. In this video, I'll break down why pulling back makes her miss you, and how to use this power with a Stoic mindset. Let's get started. Number 1. Disruption of comfort. Women often feel secure when they believe they have your attention locked down. It's a natural part of human behavior. We tend to feel safe when things are predictable and steady. When she feels like your attention is a given, it becomes a part of her comfort zone. And as long as it's there, she feels secure, confident, even entitled to it. But the moment you pull away, you shatter that sense of certainty. Suddenly, the ground beneath her feels unstable. That comfort she once enjoyed is no longer there, and that disruption forces her to question everything she took for granted. Stoicism teaches us that true growth and clarity come from embracing discomfort. Marcus Aurelius himself practiced exposing himself to discomfort as a way of strengthening his mind. By challenging himself to endure what was unpleasant, he became more resilient, more aware of his own strengths and weaknesses. In the same way, when you withdraw your attention, you're introducing an element of discomfort into her world. It forces her to look inward, to examine her own actions, her own assumptions. She begins to question, did she push you away? Was she too complacent? Is she really as secure in your affection as she once believed? This sudden disruption is powerful because it breaks the illusion of control. By stepping away, you've shown her that your attention is not something she can simply expect. It's something she has to value. And that realization hits hard. The Stoics understood that by willingly confronting discomfort, one could gain clarity and strength. Your absence, whether intentional or not, mirrors that principle. It's like throwing a rock into still water. The ripples force her to see what was previously hidden beneath the surface. Now she's left with those unsettling thoughts that remind her that your attention is not guaranteed, thoughts that urge her to reassess her own behavior and her true feelings for you. And in that moment of discomfort, she begins to understand just how much your presence meant to her. It's not cruelty. It's not manipulation. It's about recognizing your own value and understanding that sometimes the most effective way to be appreciated is to step back, to allow your absence to speak louder than your presence ever could. Number 2. Emotional scarcity. Attention is like a currency. When it's rare, it's valuable. When you stop feeding her constant attention, she realizes how much she craved it. Think about it. When something is always available, it becomes easy to overlook. It becomes part of the background, expected and almost mundane. But the moment it's taken away, it gains a new significance. The ancient Stoics valued simplicity, understanding that true appreciation comes not from excess, but from recognizing the essential. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." It's the same with your attention. When you offer it freely and abundantly, it loses its impact. But when you make it scarce, when you intentionally pull back, it forces her to reevaluate what truly matters. You see, emotional scarcity creates a powerful contrast. She goes from being showered with your attention to suddenly feeling the coldness of its absence. It's like going from a sunlit room to complete darkness. In that darkness, she starts to question. She starts to miss the warmth, the energy, the comfort of what you once provided. When you distance yourself, you're forcing her to rethink what's essential to her. And the truth is, your attention ranks high on that list. The admiration, the validation, the emotional connection you were providing. Something she depended on more than she realized. The paradox is that by withdrawing, you make her desire you more. By not constantly being there, you become something worth longing for. It's the scarcity that adds value, just as Stoicism teaches us to cherish simplicity and embrace what's essential. Your absence compels her to see that your attention was never just background noise. It was something valuable, something that held meaning. She starts to remember the conversations, the way you listened, the way you made her feel understood, and suddenly the absence of your attention feels like a loss. It's in that gap, that emotional scarcity, that she begins to miss you. And the more she reflects on it, the more she realizes that what you offered wasn't just attention, it was connection, significance, and value. Before we dive deeper into the nuances of Stoicism and its application in modern relationships, I want to invite you to pause and reflect on what we've discussed so far. How do you view the role of attention in your relationships? Has its value changed in your eyes after considering the Stoic perspective on scarcity and appreciation? If this segment sparked any thoughts, or insights, please take a moment to hit the like button and share your views in the comments below. Or if you feel particularly moved by the idea of emotional scarcity, simply type "less is more" in the comments to let me know. Your interactions mean a lot and help guide our journey through these concepts together. Now let's move on and explore how these insights can be actively applied to foster deeper connections and resilience in relationships. Number 3. Shifting the balance of power. When you withhold your attention, you're not just creating emotional scarcity or provoking curiosity. You're actively shifting the balance of power. Suddenly the dynamic changes. Where she once felt comfortable and secure, now there's uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds desire. Here's the thing: when your attention is given freely and without restraint, it becomes expected. She feels in control, knowing you'll always be there, always responsive, always validating her. But when you decide to pull back even just a little, you force her to question herself. Why aren't you as available as you once were? Has something changed? Was it something she did, or is it something entirely beyond her control? That questioning is powerful because it disrupts her sense of control. And in that disruption, desire is born. Suddenly, she finds herself wondering about you, thinking about you, craving the validation you once offered so easily. It's human nature. What we can't have, we often desire the most. From a Stoic perspective, this shift in power is rooted in one fundamental truth: real power comes from inner control, not external validation. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that the only true control we have is over our own thoughts and actions. Everything else is beyond our grasp. By withdrawing your attention, you demonstrate mastery over your own emotions. You're not seeking her validation to feel whole, because you've already found that strength within yourself. You're not constantly reaching out, hoping for her approval. You've detached from that need. And that detachment is attractive. It shows her that you're not dependent on her attention to feel valued. Ironically, the more you rely on yourself for validation, the more she craves yours. Your emotional independence becomes a rare quality, something she deeply desires, because it's so hard to find you've taken control of the dynamic by refusing to give away your power so freely. And this isn't about playing games or trying to manipulate her. It's about understanding your own value and refusing to hand it over. So easily, Stoicism teaches us to cultivate resilience, to find strength within ourselves, rather than through the approval of others. When you live by that principle, you become someone worth chasing, someone whose attention holds value because it's not given away recklessly. And when she senses that shift, when she realizes she can't control you through validation or attention, it makes her desire you even more. The balance of power has changed because you've reclaimed what was always yours, your own self-worth, and in doing so, you've become someone she can't help but be drawn to. Number 4, the magnetism of mystery. Attention is predictable, it's straightforward, easy to understand, and often easy to take for granted. But mystery has a way of drawing people in. It creates a sense of curiosity, a feeling of not quite knowing what's happening or what will come next. And that's powerful. It's magnetic. When you stop being so readily available, you see an element of unpredictability into her life suddenly. You're not always there to respond instantly to give her the validation she's come to expect. Instead, you become something she has to wonder about, someone she has to question, and that curiosity keeps you on her mind far more than constant attention ever could. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, practiced restraint. They believed in choosing their words and actions carefully, revealing only what was necessary, and keeping their deeper thoughts guarded. It was a discipline of the mind, a way to maintain control and avoid unnecessary attachment to trivial things in your interactions. When you practice restraint by not giving her all of your attention, you are in essence embodying that same Stoic principle. You're maintaining control over yourself rather than surrendering your focus entirely to her. And in doing so, you create a puzzle she can't help but want to solve. Mystery compels her to fill in the blanks. She begins to ask herself questions she never considered before. Why aren't you as available as you once were? What's changed? Is there someone else capturing your attention? Or perhaps have you simply decided to value your own time and energy more? By introducing this element of unpredictability, you've made yourself more intriguing. It's the same reason people are fascinated by what's hidden, what's left unsaid. Curiosity is a powerful motivator, and when you give her less, she feels compelled to seek more. The Stoics understood that restraint was a form of strength. It demonstrated mastery over oneself and commanded respect. In your case, your restraint. The decision not to shower her with constant attention creates a gravitational pull. She finds herself drawn to the mystery of you, the parts of you she can't quite grasp. And here's the paradox: by not giving her all of your attention, you end up gaining more of hers. By remaining a bit of an enigma, you become unforgettable. And that, my friend, is the art of creating true magnetism. Let's reflect on the magnetic power of mystery in relationships. Have you noticed how being less available can make you more intriguing? Share your experiences in the comments or simply type "mystery matters" if you're intrigued by this approach. Now let's delve deeper into how embracing restraint can enrich your connections and personal growth. Number 5. Reflection in solitude. Absence forces her to spend time alone with her thoughts. And often it's in those quiet, solitary moments that realization strikes. When the noise of constant interaction fades away, she's left alone with her own mind, her own emotions, and that's when clarity begins to emerge. The ancient Stoics understood the power of solitude for introspection and personal growth. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, often withdrew into himself, not to escape the world, but to better understand it. He knew that true wisdom often emerges from moments of deep reflection, free from distractions and external validation. By stepping away, you unknowingly encourage her to do the same. Your absence creates a space where she has no choice but to look inward without your constant presence. She begins to sift through her own emotions, trying to make sense of what she's feeling, and in that process she starts to recognize your worth. Not because you told her, but because your absence made her see it for herself. It's in solitude that she remembers the conversations that once made her smile, the reassurance of your attention, the support you provided without her even asking. Suddenly, all those little moments she took for granted begin to resurface in her mind. And the more she reflects, the more she realizes just how much you meant to her. The Stoics believed that solitude was essential for building strength and clarity. Seneca advised spending time alone to better understand one's own mind, to face discomfort without distraction. What you're doing, whether consciously or not, is allowing her that same opportunity. You're giving her the chance to reflect, to understand her own desires, and to appreciate what was once right in front of her. By pulling back, you've placed her in a position where she has to confront her own thoughts and feelings, and that's where true appreciation begins. It's not about forcing her to miss you. It's about creating the conditions where she naturally comes to that realization on her own. Your absence becomes a catalyst for her introspection. The moments she spends alone thinking about you become the very moments that make her miss you the most. And the beauty of it all, she reaches that conclusion herself. You didn't have to convince her of your value. She discovered it. Through the silence, through the space, you allowed her to experience. Sometimes the most powerful way to be heard is to say nothing at all, and in her solitude, your absence speaks volumes. Number 6. Emotional rebound. Here's the thing, when you go silent, it forces her to seek emotional resolution. Your absence is not just an empty space, it's an unresolved question, and the human mind hates unanswered questions. It's like an itch that needs scratching, a puzzle that demands to be solved. When you step back, her mind goes into overdrive, trying to make sense of your silence. Is it intentional? Is it indifference? Is it a response to something she said or did? Suddenly she's playing out different scenarios in her mind, searching for an explanation. And in that search, you occupy her thoughts far more than if you were still showering her with attention. Epicurus taught that instead of avoiding discomfort, one should face it directly and extract wisdom from the experience. Your silence, whether intentional or not, creates a kind of discomfort for her. It forces her to confront the unknown and grapple with emotions she's not used to feeling. You've essentially created a psychological vacuum, and in that vacuum, her thoughts race to fill the gap. She replays old conversations, questions her own actions, and imagines different outcomes. And the more she thinks about you, the more you become embedded in her mind. It's the classic case of trying not to think about something, only to find yourself obsessing over it even more. And here's the paradox. The more she tries to make sense of your absence, the more emotionally attached she becomes. It's an emotional rebound effect. By pulling away, you've triggered her mind to work overtime, trying to find answers, trying to understand what's changed. But here's the key difference between what you're doing and mere manipulation. The Stoics didn't avoid discomfort for the sake of control. They embraced it to achieve growth and understanding. By withdrawing your attention, you're not trying to manipulate her emotions. You're simply prioritizing your own peace of mind, refusing to hand over your power so freely. And as she continues to reflect, to question, to search for answers, her thoughts inevitably circle back to you. What she once took for granted is now something she's struggling to comprehend, and in that struggle, her desire for you only grows stronger. It's like trying to solve a riddle with missing pieces. The more she tries to complete the picture, the more she finds herself drawn to you, and the more she realizes that her own emotional clarity is tied to your presence. Whether she admits it or not, your silence has become a force she can't ignore. Number 7, the illusion of control. Women often feel they control the dynamic when you're always available, when your attention is predictable, constant, and unwavering. It gives her a sense of power. She feels secure, certain that you'll always be there, ready to respond, to validate, to reassure. But the moment you withdraw, that illusion shatters. Suddenly, she's faced with a harsh reality. Her influence over you is not as strong as she once believed. The dynamic shifts, and she realizes that your attention was never something to be taken for granted. And that's unsettling. It forces her to confront a truth she's been ignoring. She doesn't control you. Stoicism teaches a powerful lesson here. You only have control over your own responses, not her reactions. As Epicus put it, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it. That matters. By choosing to be silent, by reclaiming your time and energy, you're demonstrating emotional strength. You're not reacting out of desperation or seeking her approval. Instead, you're making a deliberate choice to step back, to value your own peace of mind. And that choice is powerful. It shows her that you're not swayed by her whims, that your sense of self-worth doesn't rely on her validation. It's a form of emotional independence that is both rare and attractive, because when she realizes she no longer has control over you, it forces her to reassess everything. She starts questioning her own actions. Was she too dismissive? Did she take your attention for granted? Why aren't you chasing her like you used to? Those questions plant seeds of doubt in her mind. And with doubt comes curiosity, and with curiosity, desire. You see, the illusion of control is comforting. It allows her to feel secure, to believe she has the upper hand. But when you pull away, you disrupt that comfort. You remind her that your attention is a choice, not an obligation, and that choice makes you stand out. Stoicism teaches us to focus only on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, our own emotional state. By embracing that philosophy, you show her that you've mastered yourself. You've broken free from the need for her validation, and in doing so, you've become infinitely more intriguing. The beauty of it all is that you've reclaimed your own power, and when she sees that her influence over you is not as powerful as she once thought, it compels her to chase the very thing she once assumed she possessed. Your attention becomes valuable again, simply because you've shown her it was never hers to control. As we explore the transformative power of reclaiming your attention, I encourage you to think about the times you've shifted the dynamics in your relationships by changing your availability. How did it impact the way others perceived and interacted with you? Please share your experiences or thoughts in the comments. Or if this idea strikes a chord with you, simply type, "Control is a choice," to acknowledge the power of self-mastery in relationships. Let's continue to uncover the strength in strategic silence and emotional autonomy. Number 8. The pull of uncertainty. When she can't predict your actions, it creates emotional tension, and tension, my friend, is the backbone of attraction. It's that unexplainable draw, that feeling of wanting something you can't quite grasp when you're always there, always predictable. The mystery fades, but when you pull back, when you introduce even a hint of uncertainty, something powerful happens. She starts questioning everything. Where are you? Why aren't you responding like you used to? Are you losing interest? That uncertainty lingers in her mind, refusing to be ignored. And here's the irony: by doing less, you're making her feel more. Because when there's a gap in her understanding of you, her mind will race to fill it. Stoicism offers a valuable insight. Here it teaches us to accept uncertainty without losing our peace. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on how little control we have over external events. The only true control we possess is over our own reactions and mindset. And when you pull back, when you're calm and composed despite her confusion, it sends a powerful message. Your calmness in the face of her emotional turmoil only amplifies her curiosity. She wants to understand you. She wants to feel that certainty she once had. But the more she chases it, the more elusive it becomes. And that elusiveness is intoxicating. It's like trying to grasp smoke with your bare hands. The more effort she puts into trying to understand you, the more you slip through her fingers, and that lack of certainty becomes an obsession. She replays moments in her mind, analyzes your words, tries to decipher your intentions, and all the while she finds herself drawn to you even more. Here's the key. Stoicism teaches you to remain centered despite her attempts to regain control. When you don't react with frustration or desperation, when you maintain your calm, your confidence, your focus on your own well-being, it leaves her even more bewildered. Because now you're not just a man who's pulled away. You're a man who's seemingly unaffected by her efforts to pull you back, and that calmness makes you fascinating. It makes her wonder what's changed within you, why you no longer react the way you once did. The uncertainty you've introduced becomes a magnet, drawing her closer even as you maintain your distance. In a world where most people are desperate to be understood and validated, your willingness to embrace uncertainty, to be unpredictable and detached, sets you apart. And it's that very unpredictability that leaves her wanting more. Number 9. Rising above neediness. By not chasing her, you demonstrate something that most men fail to grasp. True confidence isn't loud or desperate. It's calm, self-assured, and rooted in something deeper. You show her that you're not needy, that you don't require her attention to feel whole, and nothing is more attractive than a man who doesn't seek validation from others. When you're constantly seeking her attention, it signals dependence. It tells her that your happiness hinges on her approval, her responses, her presence. But when you choose to pull back, to live your life fully and contentedly without her constant validation, you send a different message. You communicate strength. You demonstrate emotional independence. Stoicism emphasizes self-reliance and emotional fortitude. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on how true contentment comes from within, not from external circumstances or the approval of others. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. That's the essence of rising above neediness. Understanding that your peace of mind is entirely your own. When you internalize that mindset, you no longer feel the need to chase her. Instead, you're focused on your own growth, your own fulfillment, your content within yourself. And that self-assurance is rare, especially in a world where so many people are addicted to constant validation. Ironically, when she senses that you're genuinely at peace without her, it pulls her in even more. Why? Because independence is attractive. It suggests that you're whole on your own, that your value doesn't rise or fall based on her attention. It creates a dynamic where she feels drawn to you, not out of obligation or routine, but out of genuine curiosity and admiration. The Stoics understood that emotional independence is power. They practiced building their resilience by focusing on what they could control: their own thoughts, actions, and reactions. When you adopt that same mindset, you naturally rise above neediness. You're no longer concerned with her responses or whether she's thinking about you. Instead, You're simply living your life, embracing your own journey. And that detachment is magnetic. It forces her to see you in a different light. Now, you're not the man who's constantly reaching out, constantly needing reassurance. You're the man who's content in his own company, who thrives regardless of her presence or absence. What you've shown her is that your peace of mind doesn't depend on her approval. You're not seeking her validation to feel valued, and that realization stirs something within her. It makes her wonder what it is about you that allows you to be so calm, so centered, so unaffected by her absence. By rising above neediness, you become a man of value, a man who is sought after, not because he's begging for attention, but because his own fulfillment is captivating and that, my friend, is what makes her want to be part of your world even more. If you're inspired to embrace more autonomy in your relationships, type independence is attractive to affirm your commitment to this empowering approach. Let's proceed to further examine how embracing Stoic principles of self-reliance and emotional resilience can transform not only how you see yourself but also how others perceive you. Join me as we delve deeper into the virtues of self-assured living and its magnetic impact on those around us. Number 10. Her return to your world. Eventually, your silence speaks louder than any words could. It's a powerful message, one that shows you value yourself enough to walk away when necessary. It's not about manipulation or playing games. It's about re-recognizing your own worth and refusing to compromise it for anyone. The moment you pulled back, you sent a clear signal that you will not beg for attention, that your happiness is not dependent on her validation. You've embraced one of the most profound teachings of Stoicism: detachment from what you cannot control. Marcus Aurelius, Sena Epicus. They all understood that true freedom lies in mastering your own emotions and actions, not trying to control the emotions of others. By choosing silence, you demonstrate mastery over yourself. You show her that you are not desperate for her affection, that your world continues to move forward regardless of her presence, and that resilience, that unwavering calmness, is something she cannot ignore. The beauty of Stoicism is that it teaches us to focus on what we can control: our own thoughts, actions, and responses. When you step away and maintain your peace of mind, you create an environment where she feels compelled to come back to you because deep down she respects that emotional strength. She senses that you are not like the others who chase and plead for attention. You're someone who has built himself up from within, who has chosen inner peace over external approval, and that strength draws her in. It makes her question why you can be so calm, so indifferent to her attempts to pull you back. It's not that you're indifferent to her, it's that you've chosen to prioritize your own well-being above all else, and that choice commands respect. You see, by detaching yourself from the outcome, you've placed yourself in a position of power. You're not emotionally swayed by her actions, not desperately seeking her validation. Instead, you've cultivated your own inner strength, your own sense of fulfillment, and that is exactly what makes her want to return to your world. It's not the silence itself that draws her back. It's the power behind it. It's the confidence you display by walking away, the self-assurance that comes from knowing your value. And when she realizes that her presence is not a necessity for your happiness, it forces her to reevaluate her own feelings in her mind. Your emotional independence becomes something worth pursuing. It's a quality she admires, even if she doesn't fully understand why. And as she reflects on everything that has transpired, she starts to see you in a different light. Someone who is secure within himself. Someone who doesn't need her to feel whole. And that's when the tables truly turn, because when she comes back, it's not out of habit or convenience. It's because she genuinely sees your worth, and the strength you displayed through your silence is what made her realize it. As we've explored today, the subtle art of pulling back can have profound effects on how she perceives and values your presence. It's fascinating how creating a void can lead to a renewed appreciation and longing. This isn't just about playing games. It's about understanding human psychology, respecting your own value, and applying Stoic wisdom to maintain dignity and control within your interactions. Reflecting on today's discussion, we see that emotional scarcity, the disruption of comfort, and the magnetism of mystery are not just theories but practical realities that influence human behavior deeply. Stoicism teaches us the power of restraint and the importance of self-respect, qualities that enhance not only our relationships, but also our overall well-being. I hope this video has provided you with valuable insights and practical advice that you can apply in your own life, whether you're navigating a relationship or understanding your own worth. Remember that sometimes less is indeed more. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of the ideas shared today? Have you experienced similar situations? How have you applied these principles in your own life? Leave your thoughts and stories in the comments below, and if you found this video helpful, please like it and share it with someone who might benefit from these lessons. Don't forget to check out the recommended videos on the screen for more insights and strategies. Thank you for watching, and until next time, remember the power of your presence and the impact of your absence.